I have to say this. Of the worries that I had about this movie going in, at least I can put one of them to bed. At least this movie wasn't as insulting as Michael Bay's Pearl Harbor. Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to an all-new Talkin Movies. As always, I am your host, the real Geno Reynolds, and today we're going to be talking about Midway here on this Veterans Day. I will warn you, there'll probably be some spoilers in this review, but that being said, this is based on history, so you probably kind of know how it's going to end. Again, this movie is based on the events of Pearl Harbor and how that led to the battle for Midway. I'll get the stuff I didn't like out of the way first. Historical accuracy when it came to the look of the planes and the aircraft carriers and such. I guess they weren't really spot on. They had to make their own designs and things. I was reading some articles. History versus Hollywood. It definitely has a really good breakdown of the movie and what was historically accurate and what wasn't. This is a minor gripe because, that being said, this is a movie about World War II, and I like seeing movies about World War II, and the more accurate, the better for me. And then also the accuracy when it comes to the battles themselves. I guess some of the things that the planes were able to do and the such couldn't happen. So I would have liked that to be a little more historically accurate too. Would it be as exciting? Maybe not. But if you're telling the story about these real people, and from what I understand, at least for most of the people in this movie, they're being very historically accurate. I would have liked them to be as historically accurate as possible. And also, and this is a pet peeve of mine, and maybe this is historically accurate, I don't know, I can't find anything on it, but there were too many times in this movie during battle scenes where someone would make a sacrifice or someone would take a shot, with a torpedo or with a bomb, and they would miss. And it happened too many times. It's like they're gonna hit, they miss, they're gonna hit, they miss. It happened way too many times. The false hits happen way too many times for me, because it just got to a point where they're not going to hit anything. So what did I like about this movie? It's hard to say because I appreciate this movie for trying to fit in everybody that played a big part of the success of this battle. And again, they show both sides. They do show more of the United States stuff than they do the stuff from Japan. But they do also follow the Japanese as well, so you can kind of see the strategies playing out. And I did like that. But boy, is there a lot of characters to follow. Because this isn't just the story about one hero. It's a story about a lot of different men that played a big part of the success of the Battle of Midway. You have Ed Skrein's character, Dick Best. You have Woody Harrelson's character, Chester Nimitz. You have Patrick Wilson's character, Edwin Layton. You have Luke Evans' character, Wade McCluskey. You have Nick Jonas's character, Bruno Gaido. You have Aaron Eckhart's character, Jimmy Doolittle. You have Dennis Quaid's character, William Halsey, and the list goes on and on. There's more. I'm looking at a list here. And again, they show the Japanese side as well. They follow 3 or 4 of the Japanese guys, maybe 5. But then the Americans, there's a ton. And so there's a lot of guys to follow here. So it was weird that I appreciated they showed all the sides, but then it gets to a point where, and I'll give you an example. Dennis Quaid's character, Vice Admiral Bull Halsey, William Bull Halsey, they show this part where he's starting to suffer from a rash. And I'm like, why are we seeing this? And sure enough, I guess that happened to him. They had to take him out. I believe it was shingles that he gets. And so they had to show why he was replaced. So they are just trying to give honor to all these real people by showing their parts, what happened to them. While I appreciate that, it does make the movie a little hard to follow because there's so many characters, and some you'll remember more than others. Um, they focused a lot on Aaron Eckhart's character for a bit, and it's like, okay, we keep introducing all these new people, and then you find out they're all real people. None of them are, this guy's just kind of based on this guy kind of thing. It's like, well, they all were really important, so I guess you need to tell that part. So you got to look at it like that: is all these people are kind of important. I think the smartest thing the movie could have done is, and granted, I don't like me saying this because I think that the stuff that they showed on the Japanese side was really good too. But to cut the movie down a little bit, I think you should have just focused on the American side. Because I think they showed a bit too much of the strategies going on, even though I really like that part. I think to cut the movie down some, because the movie is kind of long. It does feel long. If you would have took the Japanese stuff out, you could have saved a little time. Again, that being said, I liked both parts, so you'd be losing a really good part of the movie if you did that. That being said, the movie needed to be a little shorter. That being said, you've got a lot of characters. I see the quandary I'm in here. I think that most of the performances were decent. Some I thought were better than others. I thought Patrick Wilson was really good in this. Woody Harrelson was really good. I like Ed Skrein in this. That being said, it's hard for me to look at that guy and not see Francis anymore. I know he's been in many things, and there have been some things lately that he's been in that I've seen him, and I didn't think Francis. But I don't know. Anytime I just see him in a movie, I think I'm, say my name now, but I don't know. He's not bad in the movie or anything, but I don't know. I don't know if he would have been my lead. I thought Aaron Eckhart was really good with little bit he was in it. Dennis Quaid was Dennis Quaid. I mean, most of the performances are pretty good. They're at least all serviceable to play the parts. There really isn't any big time standout characters in this, but I think that's kind of the point, because they're showing what a team effort this was to win this battle, to predict what the Japanese was doing, even though we're seeing the Japanese side, and the Japanese do they do win some, so I mean it's not like it was like a rout or anything, but we do see that both sides are showing their strategies, and then you see it play out. One thing, and this is at the very end, they do near the end of the movie, they start showing pictures of the real people and giving a little blurb about what happened to them. The story of Aaron Eckhart's character, Jimmy Doolittle, he was a bomber pilot, and they bombed Tokyo, but they have to ditch the ship, or ditch the plane. And he ends up in China, and they help him escape. And the movie kind of contradicts itself a little bit with its message, because Jimmy Doolittle, by the Chinese people helping him escape, the Japanese murdered a ton of them just for helping him escape. And I can't even remember the number, but it was a huge number. But then at the end of the movie, it's like, we honor both sides. But then I mean, granted, it was almost saying, well, these Japanese soldiers, we're not honoring them because we're going to tell you what they did, which was really bad. But then, but honor the ones that were in the Navy, because the sea doesn't forget their own, right? It was just kind of a weird. I don't think the movie meant to contradict itself, and it doesn't in a way, but it's like, you're saying it's hard to honor someone when you just told me they murdered thousands upon thousands of people, just for helping one guy escape. So that, in a way, kind of affected the movie's end message. That being said, the movie does do a good job showing the honor of both sides, on at least in the part of the navies. So on this Veterans Day, and honestly, I was a little surprised that this movie won the weekend. Then again, it's Veterans Day weekend, so I mean, why not go see a movie about veterans? this isn't a bad movie. If you go see it, I don't think you're going to be overly disappointed. It's not a bad movie. It's just one that has way too many pieces for something like this. I think something like this, and I'm sure they're out there, something like this would be better as a multi-part documentary where you could focus more on these guys, where all this stuff that's happening would make more sense to you, like the guy's rash. It's like, oh, well, then he, in the documentary, could tell more about him, and then he got sick and had to leave kind of thing. Where in this, it's just kind of like you see him with a rash a couple times, then all of a sudden they're kicking him off his ship because he's got shingles. So there's just a lot of moving pieces. That being said, if you're going to see this movie, see it on the big screen because it is big. It is loud. There's a lot of story going on, but there's also a lot of action and stuff. So if you aren't bothered as much by the less than historical action, then I think you'll get a little more enjoyment than I did. I didn't think it was a bad movie, but it isn't one that I'm going to tell you to rush to go to the theaters. See, that being said, if you see it, you probably should see it in theaters because it is big and it is loud. That's going to be all for this edition of Talkin Movies. If you like what you've heard here, please subscribe to the Real Geno YouTube channel. Like this video. If you have anything to say about Midway, please feel free to leave a comment in the section below. Till next time, I'm your host, the Real Geno, Geno Reynolds. See you later.